Many times people want to change for the better, but they're not emotionally prepared for that change. It's one thing for you to psych yourself up and tell yourself, I want to change, and mentally prepare yourself. It's another thing for you to also prepare yourself emotionally so that your emotions and your mental capacity are aligned for this change that you want to experience. The reason why many of us don't change is because we're not emotionally prepared for that change. And if your emotions don't align, guess what? You're going to go back doing the same thing you've always done, which then gets frustrating for you. So all of that is about to change today, because in today's video, I'm going to sharing the 5 stages that you will go through emotionally so that when you come across these changes as you prepare for your new life, you will be aware that this is part of the process and you will not be quick to give up. Now, the first thing you're going to experience when you want to set up on a new goal is for you to be very optimistic about it. That's the first stage. You're going to be so excited about this new change. I want to lose 28 pounds. It sounds very exciting. I want to make $1 million this year. It sounds very exciting. The reason why it's very exciting is because mentally, you know it's good for you. But emotionally, you're not prepared for the hard work that is needed to be done in order for you to achieve those goals. So your first stage, you are going to be all hyped up. You're going to be like, yes, I'm smashing my goal. It's day one. That's the reason why many times people can kick off a goal, but then never get to complete that goal, because the work is in the consistency until you get to the very end. And when you don't realize how your emotions are going to change and react to this changes that you're going through, then most times you are going to give up. All right. So I want you to be aware of the changes that you're going to go through emotionally so that when the going gets tough, you are prepared mentally and emotionally for those changes that you're going to face as you push and pursue your goal. So the first stage is uninformed optimism. You're not aware of the difficulties. You're excited. You think it's going to be a breeze for you to lose those weights. You think it's going to be a breeze for you to make that money. You want to kick off that business. You think it's just going to be a breeze. Everything looks good on paper. So you think because it looks good on paper, it's going to look good in real life. That's not really how it works, but most times that's the stage that we kick off from. So we have this uninformed optimism. Now, after a while, depending on how quickly things change for you, you're going to move to the next step, which is informed pessimism. Now you begin to see the reality. Now you begin to see that, hey, it's not as easy as I thought it was. Kicking off this business is not all smooth and rosy. There are quite a number of difficulties that I'm facing, or getting those tasks to the finish line is looking more difficult than it really is. That is the second stage that you're facing. But I want you to be aware that it's normal, because every goal that we set out today, we're never going to know how things are going to play out until the very end. So you being aware that this stage is normal actually helps you pull through that stage, because now you know more things. You are aware of the situation right now. And so you're moving emotionally from being uninformed about all the things you've got to do to now getting informed of the things you have to do. And sometimes that really gets you to be overwhelmed. That gets you to start looking at things from a different lens and gets you to be pessimistic. So in this phase, you have to be aware that this is normal, and you just have to keep pushing and keep going. Now, once you've been able to move past that informed pessimism, you then move to that phase of hopeful realism. This is where you now understand that, hey, I'm going to face problems, but as long as I keep pushing, I'm going to overcome those problems. And once you get past the doubts, once you start getting past all of the frustrations that you're facing, you start getting hopeful again, which means that now you're better informed. You know the situation better. You're able to deal with situations because you're able to solve some of the problems that you face along the way. But because you're consistent and persistent in the goal, you then begin to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So imagine if you gave up while you were in stage 2, where you are feeling all pessimistic. You'll never know that further down the line is a new reality where you get to be more hopeful. So you have to understand that problems will always come, challenges will always come, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And many times when you're feeling frustrated, when you don't know what to do, it's always good for you to find other people who have done what you're trying to do so they can help you overcome that challenge that you're facing. It's also always good for you to read books, listen to podcasts, look for a YouTube video that maybe addresses that situation. Look for people that are in a similar situation and reach out to them, whether you know them or you don't. You never know whether that person might respond. Many times you can get through a lot by reading books, and there's so many books, everywhere that you can get access to on a particular situation that you're facing. So I recommend finding a book to read, listen to a podcast so that you get to get more insights into that problem so that you can quickly move forward to the next stage of being hopeful and seeing things for what they really are. Now, the next stage that you're going to move into will be the informed optimism. Now, you've been in this goal for quite a while, and now you realize that, hey, things are looking pretty good. It is actually possible for me to achieve this goal. It's actually possible for me to change. It's possible for me to live this new life that I desire, because you have not faced the reality. There is now more hope. And right now you're better informed. You've gone through things. You've gone through thick, you've gone through thin. And now you start getting your optimism back, because you're like, okay, you know what? I've done it for quite a while. I know how things look. I know how things are going to be, or most likely might be. And it just gives you that sense of confidence. And this would always happen for every new goal, every new task, everything new that you're doing. When I kicked off my business, it was the same thing. When I changed careers, it was the same thing. For every new thing that I've done, it's the same thing. Even my goal of losing weight, it's the same process. Like initially, the first couple of days was fine. Like after a few days, I was like, do I have to do this today? Like, really? But me knowing that at the end of the day is my goal waiting on me, I was able to push past the doubts, and I just kept going. And even sometimes, another thing that could be very frustrating is the fact that you're not seeing the results that you're hoping to get. Now, if you're not seeing those results, it does not mean that things are not working. It means that you are actively in that process. And if you would only keep pushing and keep going, you will see the results. So don't be quick to give up just because you're not seeing the results. The changes are happening, but they may not just be quite visible for you. One of the things my personal trainer always says is that if you've added so much weight, you're not going to see yourself drop so easily, because you're going to have to, lose that body fat. You're going to have to go through some internal changes that it's going to be after a while that you then begin to see, oh, I've actually dropped some pounds. So if at the end of the week, if at the end of the month, you are hoping to, let's say, lose 5 pounds and you're able to only lose 1, it does not mean that you're not losing weight if you are doing everything necessary, like, watching your food, doing a lot of exercise. You're losing weight, but you might not see it on the scale, because sometimes you even lifting weight might actually be adding muscle to you, which means that on the scale, your weight might actually go up or stay the same. But it does not mean that the necessary changes are not happening to your body. So if you bring that to, whatever goal that you're working on, those changes might be happening, but they might not be so visible to you at this time. But just keep going. And when you get to this phase, and you knowing that this phase actually exists, should give you that strength to keep pushing, because now you're in that phase of informed optimism. You're better informed, you're more knowledgeable about your goal, you know what to expect. And even if the unexpected happens, you know how to deal with it, because guess what? You've dealt with it in the past. And if you keep pushing and you keep going, guess what? You're going to get to the finish line when you actually achieve your goals and complete your task. So I hope that today's video has actually opened up your mind to understand that it's not only mentally that you have to prepare when you're setting out on a new task or a new goal, but you have to also be emotionally aware that your emotions are also important. And when you don't feel like doing things, many times your emotions will override your mental capacity, and you'd actually stop yourself from doing what you need to do. So make sure that you're in check with your emotions. Make sure you understand, that these things are expected. There's a valley of despair that you're going to go through, where you're going to be so optimistic and you're going to be pessimistic. You'll feel like, why did I even start this stuff? Should I be doing this? But you've got to keep pushing. You've got to keep going, because there's a big light at the end of the tunnel waiting just for you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. My name is Yinka, and my goal is to help you achieve success in all of your goals. Thank you very much. I cannot wait to catch you in my next episode. Bye.